There's one chemical that controls our addiction for food, sex, smashing our business targets, or even getting exercise. And it's this one neurotransmitter called dopamine. And by regulating dopamine, I've been able to create the life that I've once dreamed of. Because in the last year, my business crossed 8 figures in sales. I married the woman of my dreams, moved to the tropical Caribbean islands into my dream home, and I've been able to change thousands of lives in the process while building God's kingdom. And I attribute this heavily to my ability to regulate my motivation through what I call a dopamine detox. Now, you might see this all over social media, people going on retreats and throwing away their cell phone for a month and deleting themselves from the face of the earth on social media. I'm not here to tell you any of that. Instead, I want to share with you these 3 things. What is it? Why is it so important? And most importantly, the 5 steps that I've personally been able to implement within my own life of the most sustainable, long-term way to achieve a dopamine detox without fasting on a crazy diet and eliminating a lot of fun things that we enjoy in life. So to kick it off, I want to define what a dopamine detox is. A dopamine detox is simply removing of high levels of dopamine within our mind. However, I want to make an adjustment in the definition by turning it into a way of life rather than just simply a one-time event. And the reason why a dopamine detox is so important is because research has shown that when you regulate your dopamine levels, your motivation goes up. Ability to focus for longer a period of times happens, where things like healthy organic foods or getting a good night's sleep or actually getting good exercise, these things make us happy as opposed to unnatural things like pornography or really highly processed foods. Now, let me make something clear. A dopamine detox is not the end. It is the means to the end. And what I mean is you should not be doing a dopamine detox just for the sake of hopping on the next productivity bandwagon. Rather, take this skill of how to regulate your dopamine levels and move all that motivation over to something very productive, like increasing your income by starting an online business. Now, I don't have enough time in this video to go over how to start an online business and increase your income, but I put together my most well-received video. It's actually my most popular video that goes through the best business opportunities of this year. I break down something called the Opportunity Codex, which is a diagram that maps out the top 5-6 business models, the pros and cons of each one, and depending on if you're beginner or advanced, which business is best suited for you. I highly recommend you click the first link down below to go watch that YouTube video once you're done with this one. Now, when it comes down to implementing a dopamine detox, I really break it down into 5 key steps. So let's begin with the first one. The first core component of why we're so prone and addicted to dopamine is actually simply because of our cell phone. I've created a very good habit where half the time I don't even know where my phone is. Like I don't know where my phone is on my desk. The most important thing you need to do is just simply not touch your phone for the first few hours of the day. Personally, for myself, from the moment that I wake up to hydrating and getting down to my desk, the first 2 to 3 hours of my day, typically, I don't even know where my phone is. What I would recommend is you actually charge your cell phone in a different room from where you go to sleep and in a different room for where you go to work. The second aspect to this is not only should you not touch your phone at the beginning of the day, but also try avoiding your phone at the end of the day. For example, when I finish my workday, I plug my phone in the same exact spot, and then I go downstairs, enjoy time with my wife without touching my phone ever again for the rest of the day. The last thing that you want to do is right before you go to bed, be scrolling on social media, looking at reels, looking at girls shaking their butts on TikTok or wherever else fortunate kids do these days, and stop flooding your brain with ridiculous amounts of dopamine hits. Now, moving on to the second point, when it comes down to decreasing sensory overload, think about all the things within your life that give you extremely high hits of dopamine. The big 3 culprits typically are junk food, pornography, and video games. They're actually killing your motivation levels from the things that you are doing productively. Like maybe right now you are working a 9-to-5 job or studying in university and you're doing a pretty decent good job. Well, if you're doing those things that I just mentioned, you are killing even your ability to do the current responsibilities that you have on a day-to-day basis. On top of this, one other recommendation would be to actually cut out caffeine. Now, I know caffeine is a little interesting because, well, this is not something that makes you a little bit more productive, but to be quite honest, in our generation and time, most people are rather addicted to caffeine, where caffeine used to be a stimulant that could give you a boost, but now it's actually become the new standard where if you don't take it, you're at a deficit. where before it would be a +10, but now without caffeine, you're already at a -50. It doesn't make any sense, and I would highly recommend you cycle that out for a minimum of 2 weeks before consider taking caffeine ever again. Moving on to the third lesson of natural ways to hit dopamine. Once you've gotten rid of the man-made electronic digital kind of dopamine, try considering the things that God has naturally made for us in our real life. Personally, for me, I live on a tropical island. Every single day after work, I will go into the sandy beaches of Puerto Rico and actually just walk on the beach, say a prayer, listen to some music, or sometimes I'll just go barefoot on a run and I'll just run on the beach. I'll just hop in and go for a swim. All these things are natural. Now for you might not live by the beach, but just getting outdoors and doing something natural and allowing your 5 senses to take in what's naturally happening in the world will dramatically help you regulate your levels. Today, after you're done with your workday, go outside, turn off all your electronics, and just go for a walk and be present and enjoy being outdoors. Now, besides being outdoors, the other thing is to actually enjoy human interaction. The funny thing about social media is even though it was designed to connect us, humans are more isolated than ever before. And I intentionally force myself to get out into social environments on a regular weekly basis, such as my Thursday weekly Bible study that I lead, weekly date nights on Friday with my wife, my Sunday service, or going to church on Sundays where I have to interact with other individuals just to remind me and place me in situations where I am constantly surrounded by other individuals. The fourth step in regulating your dopamine levels is to ensure that you have a very healthy routines. Main routines that I would recommend is going to be waking up and going to bed at the same time every single day. Personally, for myself, I wake up anywhere between 4 to 5 a.m. on most days, and I go to bed between 8 to 9:30 p.m., which enables for me to get a solid 8 hours of sleep every single night. On top of that, you want to make sure you implement regular exercise routine. Before, I used to work out 5-6 days a week, and that was awesome. But personally, for me right now, I really only have the luxury of working about 3 times a week in the gym, which is totally fine. I'll train Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, about 60 to 90 minutes per workout. Not only does that keep me in tip-top shape, but that also gives me a healthy way to de-stress, regulate my dopamine levels, and feel very healthy by the end of it. And the fifth step of execution is the most important one, because you already know I constantly teach you that information without implementation is absolutely meaningless. The biggest worry that I have is that once you finish watching this YouTube video, you go, awesome, Richard, thanks for the information, peace. And then you don't implement at all. So take this information that I've taught you here today and actually go implement it. And the best way that you can actually implement this information is to transmute it into a project that can improve your life dramatically. Personally, for me, the thing that changed my life 4 years ago when I was just a broke university student at UCLA was starting an online business. Because it turns out that if you can regulate your dopamine levels, if you can get into healthy routines, if you can become way more productive and enjoy the natural environment that God has put you in, you've set yourself exactly up to be in the perfect position to succeed at building a business. And so again, I put together my best YouTube video that you guys absolutely love. I would highly recommend you check that video out in the first link in the description once you're done with this one. Remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything. I will see you in the next video right there.